Hello, I'm Alex. This is a tour of Refract, which is a tool to help you do solo IFS. So I've had user research calls with over 100 people at this point, and we've identified the common struggles that people have with doing IFS on their own. A really great thing about IFS is that you can do it yourself and you don't need a therapist, but without someone there to guide you, it can be more challenging. So it can be hard to keep track of what's happening, like what parts did I meet during this session, but also in previous sessions. What do I do next? Like where am I in the flowchart and what's the next correct move to do? It can also be challenging to remain in self-energy when you're doing solo IFS. Like you could blend with a part, maybe a perfectionist part or a self-like part and not notice. So as a result of these challenges, people often end sessions early. Maybe after 10 to 20 minutes, you start to feel drained and you want to finish. And that can mean that you don't make as much progress as you'd like. Maybe you don't reach exiles because it's really difficult to hold the space for that long. And that means that it can be difficult to make as much progress doing solo IFS as you would with a therapist. So then people may find a therapist, which is great and allows you to go deeper, but it does mean you are then paying for every session that you do. So with all that being said, who is Refract for? Basically, people who are struggling with the stuff that I just talked about. So if you find solo IFS something that you would really like to do, but also is somewhat challenging or draining, then you're the type of person we built the tool for. So our typical users are people who want help doing solo IFS, like they're relatively new and have tried it a bit and want to be guided. Or it may be that they actually have an IFS therapist, but they just want to do even more sessions in between their therapist-led sessions. Or they want to go deeper, like they can spend some time with protectors on their own, but struggle to meet XLs. So while I was preparing this slide deck, I contacted one of our favorite users to get a testimonial. I won't read the whole thing, but it's very lovely, and I'll read out the parts in bold. So Refract has helped me immensely. It's greatly improved how I show up for my parts. And this app is a joy to use daily. It's transforming the way I relate to myself and others. Yeah, just like very exciting stuff. So in addition to this key testimonial, we have a bunch of other shorter bits of positive feedback on our help center. I won't read them thoroughly. I'll just kind of shout out like, it's a miracle, unburden my first exile, like, transformation, or I didn't expect to cry. The fact that it's always available is a really powerful thing versus having to wait for a human therapist session, not having to guide yourself, like being able to kind of let go of the process and just kind of surrender and be held in that way. And we've also had feedback from people that they actually feel more comfortable talking to the app than they would to a human, even if they really like their therapist. So with all that being said, just a really quick thing on who Refract's not for, because I've spoke with a bunch of people and I think I have a decent model as to who it also doesn't work for. So it's probably good just to kind of tell people now, like it may not be worth you trying out if you're a certain type of person. And pretty much it just means people who aren't struggling with the stuff that I talked about earlier. So I spoke to people who are pretty advanced at IFS already. They may have done it for years and they have like a really flowy sense of how to do it and they know their parts really well. And so in the app, they really wanted like super high flexibility and intelligence. Similarly, but on the other end of the spectrum, people who aren't on board with IFS, like just kind of curious about it, I'd say this is very much a tool for people who are like, it's already part of your life or you already like strongly motivated and you want to be doing it more. Okay, so with the preamble out of the way, I'll actually show the app now. So this is the homepage tour. We've got the deep parts work session. This is the main one that I use. It's like 30 to 60 minutes. I'll do like a deeper dive on that in a second. There's also a parts check-in. Some people use this every day, like to start the day off. There's also a I'm currently feeling blended flow to help you if you're currently feeling sad or anxious or something. You can find which part you're blended with. And then there's this stuff up here that I'll talk about in a section coming up. And just also a quick note that it is available on mobile. It's like basic mobile support, but it all works. So yeah, just flagging that. So yeah, going back to the homepage, I'll do a deep dive on the main parts work session, which we call deep parts work, just to differentiate it from like the check-ins. Yes, I'd say 30, 60 minutes is typical. So if you click on it on the homepage, you then get this page. You can choose if you want to talk to the app or if you want to type. I pretty much always talk. I think it's like good for embodiment. And you can also choose a time limit if you have limited time or if you're happy for it to run for however long it needs to. So when you start the session, you'll be asked if you already have a topic in mind. You can also choose from a list that you can pre-populate ahead of time, like whenever you have an idea for something to work on at some point. And then when you choose your topic, you'll see if there's any part that's currently present. This is then conceptualized as the main protector part, and then you do the standard protector steps of befriending them and learning the fear, sending them gratitude, seeing if they relax. At this point or at any point in the session, you may have other concerned parts appear. I often start to feel really tired, or sometimes even dizzy, or just kind of disconnected and kind of brain foggy. So if you say that, like, oh, I'm feeling tired right now, it'll conceptualize that as a new part, and then you kind of break away from the main protector flow and deal with this part and understand it, and then you come back. And then at this point, you can choose to end the session there. It prompts you like, hey, we've spent some time with the protector. This was great. Like, do you want to end there? That's totally cool. At which point you get a summary of what happened and the full transcript and your parts list updates as well. But then there's also a prompt of, if you'd like, we could ask the protector if it's happy to show us to the exile, and then you can meet the exile and do all the exile steps. So meeting the exile, witnessing the hurt, reparenting, the unburdening ritual, and then having the protector and the exile meet again and show the protector that it can choose a different role in your psyche. And then at that point, you can end the session, and it's the standard stuff. You get the summary, transcript, parts list. So that's the full flow. So here's an example of what you get at the end of a session. This is a real look into my psyche. There was a heat wave in Toronto recently. It was just incredibly hot. I don't have AC in this place. So you get a report that explains everything that happened. You can kind of scroll down, see key moments, and then you can see the parts that you've met. You can click in here and rename them and add more detail. You can also get the full transcript, like everything that happened. You can download that as well for your own notes. And then there is also a feedback tab for if you want to share any feedback with us, which is super useful, and always very appreciated. And I'll talk about this a little bit more in a later section, but this is the parts list that just gets automatically updated whenever you do a session, so that we've got images and you can say if it's an exile, protector. Yeah, this is pretty new and I like it. It's cool. So yeah, I won't do a deep dive into each of the modes in this video. I don't want to make it too long, so you can totally check out the others as well. So there are some more features to show, but I figured that might be enough for most people, and you may not want to watch the entire thing. So if that all looks good so far, here's how you can get access immediately. So you can get a 2-week free trial if you fill out this quick form. If you just go to linktree/refract.ifs. I know it's a hyperlink that you can't actually click, but if you type that in, you'll get to the Linktree, and then there'll be a form. It's like 3 questions, like super quick, and then there'll be an automated email that gives you access straight away. So for a really quick bit of context, in addition to the key common struggles that I talked about earlier of it being difficult to create a container for yourself and be in flow when you're doing IFS alone, from all the calls I've done with people, we've also identified that doing IFS can be aversive, and making it part of your life can be difficult. It's often the case that I talk to people who are motivated and they're like IFS true believers, but they still can procrastinate, or they just find it aversive to begin, stuff like that. So one common thing here is that people may not have a really clear goal in mind, like a positive vision that's very intrinsically motivating. They may know that they're hurting, or they have certain parts they want to work with, but they don't have a kind of like, yes, I really want to do this thing. This feels like super intrinsically motivated. So like, what are my goals? What trailheads are a priority? What parts have I met? Like, which parts should I continue working with? What in what order, that kind of thing. And then a similar thing is it can be hard to gather the energy to start a session, like because of the stuff of like, I have lots of priorities and lots of parts and lots of things I want to do. And life is just very busy. It can be kind of overwhelming, like where to begin, how to make this time count, that kind of thing. So as a result of all of that, we've started adding features to help with this. This is pretty early days. These are like maybe 3 weeks old, but I'm super excited because it's been like a clear need for our users for ages. So the first one is called My Journey, and it's a page where at the moment you can put in your key kind of top level intentions. Like these are up to 5 kind of goal states. And these are 2 of my real ones. I have 3 others. These are the kind of least embarrassing ones to share. So this is really great because I can populate them in the app, and then I don't have to remember or keep them top of mind, because when I go and do a deep parts work session at the beginning, I get prompted with, like, what do you want to work on? Do you want to work on one of your key intentions, or also you can speak out loud and just work on something different? But it's really great to know that it's in the app, but I don't have to remember this stuff. Then in addition to the My Journey page, there's the observations page where you can populate as they appear kind of in your day or throughout your week. You can write an observation of like, oh, I've just noticed this thing. I should do IFS on this at some point. Like, yeah, I went to a contact improv workshop, which is like a dance workshop, and I just kept noticing a part that was like scared of doing something publicly wrong. and like getting criticized or something. So it's like, okay, yeah, I'll do some IFS on this. And then similarly, this means that when you start a deep parts work session, there's a part where it says, oh, do you want to use one of these observations that you've already pre-populated? So it's just another way to kind of make a nice like watertight system to do IFS on things that you identify as being important to you. Then the final non-session thing I'll just shout out is the parts page. We've kind of already looked at this a little bit, but yeah, it looks like this, and you can click into a part and then you can see more detail. This gets automatically populated from a session, but you can also like write stuff in yourself. I wrote in Teenager. So yeah, you can add a bit more description. So that's it for now. That's my demo of Refract. Thanks for watching. Hope your first session goes well. Yeah, go to the link tree to fill out the form and get 2 weeks free. Yeah, I really would love to get any feedback as well. It's super useful. And yeah, thanks for watching.